Welcome to AI ConvoCast, where we bring you the latest in AI and tech innovation. Please don't forget to rate, review, and share if you like what you hear. Let's jump right in.
Today we will be covering DeepSeek's V4 open-weight agent model, fresh developer reactions to GPT 5.5 feat coding chops, and ComfyUI's $30 million raise that says a lot about creative AI tooling. Starting with DeepSeek. On Friday, the Chinese lab released preview versions of DeepSeek V4 Pro and V4 Flash as open-weight models, and the specs are eye-catching. V4 Pro is a 1.6 trillion parameter mixture of experts model with 49 billion active parameters. V4 Flash is a leaner, 284 billion total, 13 billion active. Both ship with a 1 million token context window, and the AP notes the models are partially trained on Huawei chips, cutting reliance on NVIDIA. But the real headline isn't parameter count. Hugging Face's write-up argues the breakthrough is the economics of long-running agents. At 1 million tokens, V4 Pro uses just 27% of the inference compute of V3.2 and only 10% of the memory for the key-value cache, which is essentially the model's working memory during a session. V4 Flash drops that to 7%. DeepSeek also added agent-specific plumbing, including a custom tool call format to reduce parsing failures, and a sandbox system for reinforcement learning rollouts. On agent benchmarks, V4 Pro Max scores 80.6 on SWE Verified and 51.8 on Tulathlon. Hugging Face's Ben Burtonshaw summed up the reception bluntly, saying the benchmark numbers are competitive but not state-of-the-art, and it doesn't matter. The point is that long agent runs just got dramatically cheaper to operate. Now to GPT 5.5, where the post-launch evidence is starting to land. OpenAI is positioning it as their strongest agentic coding model, with 82.7% on Terminal Bench 2.0 and pricing at $5 per million input tokens and $30 per million output, with a Pro tier coming in much higher. But the more useful signal came from CodeRabbit, which ran the model through its code review benchmark. They described GPT 5.5 as quicker, leaner, and more direct, with a strong bias towards small workable changes instead of sweeping rewrites. On their curated test set, the model found 79% of expected issues versus 58% for the baseline, and precision jumped from 28% to 41%, meaning fewer false flags on real code bases. The caveat is interesting. CodeRabbit found GPT 5.5 follows weak prompts too literally, and it performs best when given scope tasks, explicit constraints, and an environment where it can actually run and inspect code. Their takeaway is that this is a better executor, not a better product manager. Dan Schipper of Every called it the first coding model he's used, with serious conceptual clarity, but Reddit threads over the weekend were more measured, with developers asking whether the speed and token efficiency gains matter more in daily use than another small benchmark flex. Finally, ComfyUI announced a $30 million round at a $500 million valuation on Friday, with Kraft leading alongside Pace Capital and Chemistry. The funding itself is interesting, but the adoption numbers are the real story. ComfyUI now reports over 4 million users, more than 60,000 community-built nodes, and over 150,000 downloads per day. For listeners unfamiliar with it, ComfyUI is a node-based workflow tool, meaning instead of typing a single prompt and hoping for the best, you wire together visual blocks that control every step of how a diffusion model generates images, video, or audio. It's become the production backbone for creators who need precise control rather than one-shot generation. Co-founder Yannick Merrick framed the raise with a simple line, saying with this funding they can make sure open source wins. That pitch landed unevenly with the community. On Reddit, some users welcomed the institutional backing, as a sign the project would survive long-term, while others immediately voiced concern that investor pressure could push the interface or business model away from what made it useful in the first place. It's the familiar tension when an open-source darling takes venture money, and the roadmap over the next year will tell the story.
Thank you for listening to AI ConvoCast. Please don't forget to rate, review, and share if you like what you hear. Thanks and hope to see you again next time.